So there are 4 basic components to our financial structure, very important. And it's important that it may seem obvious, but it's important that we understand how each of these components works, and we'll be covering that. Start off with, out of the 4 components, assets and debts, kind of 2 sides of the same coin frequently, because to acquire an asset like a house, we may borrow some money to purchase that house. And then the other 2 pieces of that would be income and expenses. Again, 2 sides of a coin. In order to have the expenses and pay the expenses, we have to have income coming from somewhere. All this financial stuff is much simpler than you might think, but it's like riding a bicycle. It's really difficult at the beginning, and there's jargon, and there's all kinds of difficulties. So 4 basic components to financial structure: assets and debts, income and expenses. There are pillars to our financial well-being and how we manage money. And those are similar but not the same. And that is really important, that we figure out how to earn money one way or another. We figure out how to save a portion of that money, living on less than we earn. And savings is just a prelude to investing. And investing is frequently, ironically, a prelude to borrowing. And then, of course, our spending comes into there too. So those are the kind of the pillars of our personal finance: earning, saving, investing, borrowing, and spending. So becoming financially independent is really a matter of, it's not a matter of making zillions of dollars. It's really having sufficient income and savings that you can live comfortably in your life, and you can make all your payments and be very comfortable. And financially independent would be you're beyond the point where you actually have to trade your time for dollars. We really need to wean ourselves off of earned income and become asset-based. That's the number 1 difference between the haves and have-nots. We want to, especially by the time you want to retire, it seems obvious, you need to have income coming in that isn't dependent upon you going to work. So I'd like you each to kind of think to yourselves, what does financial freedom mean to you? Everyone has a general desire, but it's a very vague kind of goal. And I believe that in order to get there, we have to SMART goal these things, right? We need to get specific about the amounts, about the deadlines. The more specific our goals are in any aspect of life, the higher and the more likely we are to achieve them. The one thing I would say, having reserves for replacement is absolutely crucial. And we want to have reserves to handle the things that are likely to come up. There's things that we will always want more of and always need more of. And as we climb towards self-actualization, which is really about being independent and doing what you want to do. Money is very much like that. Below a certain level, depends on what area you're in and such, but below a certain level, it's all you can think about, because, oh, I'm going to get an eviction notice, or, my car is going to get repossessed. So it becomes overwhelming and very stressful. Once you have enough money, you may still want more, right? You want a nicer car, you want a nicer vacation, whatever it is. But once your basic needs are taken care of, incremental increases in money do not increase your actual deeper happiness to any great degree. So keep in mind that money is a deficiency need. You need enough to pay all the bills that you have and be comfortable and be able to take a vacation once in a while. Beyond that, not nearly as important. Other things will become more important to you. Here are 3 benchmarks to write down and start thinking about. And I'm going to share a very simple budgeting spreadsheet. But think about what your lifestyle requires in terms of money. How much money does it take for you to run your lifestyle, whatever it is that you're doing right now? And if you can see some things that you're doing right now and say, well, that's silly, I can cut out $300, then go ahead and do that. But for the most part, write down the lifestyle that you have right now, or the one that's slightly higher that you're aspiring to. And then ask yourself, how much would you need to have in your bank account flowing in and actually reserves? Because, right, you got to have a cushion, like a reservoir. So how much would it take in the bank account? How much would you like to have to feel comfortable, to be able to sleep at night, to have less stress, to know that if something goes slightly wrong, that you can handle it? And then some of that will be projection, because you're saying, this is not where I am now, it's where I want to be. So I like to SMART goal everything. I'm sure you guys have heard of SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So what would be your age deadline for achieving those things that you just wrote down? This is a spreadsheet, very simple. When we actually get down to doing these things, we're going to do something more like using Mint or something to that effect. This is just a Google document. So what this side is just your income, different types of income, just whatever it is. And you can erase all the categories that don't matter. Just pop in the numbers. What's the quality of that income? I work for the post office. They pay me $3,000. I'm tenured in or whatever they call it. They can't fire me. You know, I know that money's coming no matter what. Or maybe down here, I've got a little bit of gig work. You know, I'm doing these contracting work and someone pays me $475, but you know, they might stop doing it next month. So I would qualify that as like a C-. It's just a general relativity thing. I mean, how solid is this income? How much can you count on it? And then over on this side, would like you to just, you know, and modify it for yourself. Is it rent? Is it mortgage? What is the dollar amount? I like to put this column in because in the beginning, you don't have all these numbers probably, unless you've been keeping track of this, you don't have them all at your fingertips. So there's a lot of things that are subjective. And in this case, the utility hasn't been verified. Someone just said it's $400. That seemed about right, which is why I have it in green. And that's where we were at. And you guys probably know how to do all that, right? You can go up here and put your fill color in. You can change all those things. So fill in all these numbers. Put over here if it's verified. I don't care. Put a check mark, whatever you want, so that you can go back in later and fill in and verify some of them. Because in the beginning, you know, you're just going to guess. So let me move these pictures over here. So I always put notes to myself. This one, she's paying 5.7. Should we refi? And the problem with refi might be creditworthiness, and it was. So she had to do some work on that to get creditworthy. Property insurance, property maintenance. This is one of those reserves for replacement things. And when you own a home, which is far, far better than renting, right? It's absolutely astounding how much the difference is. But you need to put money aside for maintenance because some of these systems in a house, a roof on a house could be a $30,000 proposition. And if your roof is going to, just pick a number, we're going to last for 15 more years, you probably should be putting aside $2,000 a year if you don't want to have to come up with a chunk of money. And when you save your $2,000 a year as reserves, it's not like you're putting it in a mattress. You're putting it into an investment account and it's going to earn you money. So it's going to accrue to your benefit any way you look at it. So just go down the list, fill in everything you can, clothing. Then when you get to the bottom of this thing, right now, the numbers that I put in, $5,400 worth of income, person is spending $5,200. They seem to be, they're positive by $270 or so. They are now spending 95% of their income that they bring in. This is a really important number to know. This number really should be down in, you know, below 70. It's a challenge if it's not, and it's way out of whack here. So let's give this person another paycheck. That's just simple as that. That's how you get a raise. You just do it. Okay, so now the person is earning $8,400, spending $52,000. They're positive $3,200. That's not a bad position to be in, right? And so you can see the percentage here. If yours comes out above 85, that's risky territory. Something goes wrong in your life, you are probably going to be borrowing money at a very expensive rate, or you're going to be doing without. Something negative is going to be happening. If you keep it below 70, 60 is great. The lower, the better. So what we want to do is we want to come up with a monthly budget, and we need to find ways to stick with that budget. Again, budgeting is fourth grade math. It's not the hard part of this. Sticking with it is the hard part of it. That's the ADHD conundrum, right? We're now versus not now. I've got some money now. Why would I say that, you know, if I'm going to spend it, I'm going to buy something that makes me feel good in the moment, and, you know, unfortunately compromises our future. So the nice thing about that is you get control the other side.